Today on the Waine Train, we start the fourth season of the save and our first one in the Champions League. First up, we recap how we spent £80 million in the transfer window, and then we start the Premier League season trying to pick up our third win in a row over Manchester United at Old Trafford. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 31 of the Waine Train here on Sean Does FM with Plymouth Argyle. I hope you're doing well, and coming up today we start off season 4 of the save, as I said, with a trip to Old Trafford to hopefully pick up our third win in a row over Manchester United. And before then we reveal how we got our wage budget into that situation in the transfer window. So if you're looking forward to that coming up in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, hit that thumbs up button. It does help push out the video to more people, and also if you haven't done so already, also consider hitting that subscribe button as well. It is greatly appreciated. But as you can see, we are £45,000 over our wage budget, which is not an insignificant amount. We're going to reveal how that's happened shortly, because I was about to sell a player before we picked up an injury in our last pre-season friendly, so that's definitely changed our plans going into the latter part of this transfer window. But first up, we'll go to the latter part of the last season to show you guys one player that we did sell before we ticked over into the new one. And that was this man, our third choice goalkeeper from last season, and Hubert Glustis. Seeing as we got another good promising goalkeeper through our youth intake late last season, I did think this was someone that we could afford to let go. We only signed him a couple of seasons ago, back when we had a big goalkeeping injury crisis. Thankfully, hasn't been too bad since then. Never actually played a game for the first team competitively. I do believe, indeed, that was not the case. He has gone to Watford in the Championship for £325,000 after we did pick him up on a free, so a slight profit there on a player who never played a game for us. That was the one bit of business that we did do before we did tick over into the new season. And then I signed a couple of big guns and also got rid of someone that might surprise you guys, as you can see over on the right hand side. We'll try and do this in chronological order now. The only thing we really need to do in this transfer window, apart from just generally trying to improve the overall quality of the squad here at Plymouth Argyle, was get a left back, because Josh Wilson-Esbrand, he went back to Manchester City after his loan did end, and we found someone a bit better than him. We spent £42 million on Victor Christensen. I think not quite all of that was up front, but he was from Leicester, a team who went back down to the Championship, and he's a good left back, 23-year-old out of Denmark, and he comes in as a squad player, a very good option if Miguel Gutierrez doesn't perform kind of like last season, because he was one of the big disappointments of our signings, probably the only one, to be fair, of those signings that we did make going into last season. But he'll be out there at left back as a wing back on support. As you can see, pretty well-rounded attributes, especially in terms of his physicals, and he was the first transfer that we did make going into this new season. As you can see, says there it was £42 million. I'm pretty confident in saying it wasn't quite that up front. We still had quite a bit of money left in our transfer budget off the back of that deal, especially as it didn't get bumped up too much by that sale of Hubert Glustis. But it was our first transfer going into the new season out of Leicester. We did sign Victor Christensen as our backup left back option, so it did mean our squad was complete going into the season. And from there, with the remaining money, we did have the chance to try and improve the squad quality here at Plymouth Argyle. And what we did next was bring in someone on a free transfer, but on quite a significant wage. But still, this did look like it was a very good deal for Lazar Samardzic. He is a Serbian international who did get released from Udinese. We were competing with Borussia Dortmund for his signature. Thankfully got it, even though we did only tell him he'd be a squad player. But I actually think he'll be starting for us this upcoming season. As you can see, can play multiple positions in the front half of the field, but I think we're going to use him as that inside forward out on the right-hand side, because he's actually got better attributes than Mohamed Baloumi, our starter from last season, who actually didn't actually notice this till I edited the video at the end of last week. Got pipped into the team of the season by Morgan Whittaker, who so far, it's fair to say, has been one of the best players in the save. But those attributes for an inside forward on attack do look really good. It highlights most of his green attributes that he does have. 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential. To get him on a free transfer, I think, is a really good bit of business, even though that wage is quite significant. It did take a bit out of our transfer budget, just shifting it over to the wage budget, but he does look like a very good player, and hopefully can do a good job for us there out on that right-hand side. Also worth noting that free kick taking could be very useful as well. Finally, someone who's quite good at a free kick here at Plymouth Argyle. So 2 ins before we did make our first sale of the window, and that was Richard Elise. To be fair, this is a guy who's been out on loan for most of his time here at the club. We picked him up on a free after he was let go by Chelsea back after the first year of the save. He spent 1 year out on loan at Newport County and has now gone to Peterborough for £275,000. To be fair, quite a similar sale, that one, to Hubert Klasic. But then off the back of that, probably the most surprising out that we did make in this transfer window, probably our star striker, especially from the latter half of last season, Andre Lucas Good-Johnson. He's off to Barcelona for £45 million. I just thought that was too much money to turn down, especially because looking at his attributes, he's still not as good as Nikola Iliev. I know that he probably outperformed Iliev over the duration of last season, at least when one of them wasn't performing, the other one was. But also, I did compare him to our young Ecuadorian in Alan Obando, who we signed halfway through last season, pretty much on January transfer deadline day. And Obando's also better than him. To be fair, might not be as good at things like hitting, because that's definitely an area where he did impose his authority, but still, I did think we could potentially sell Good-Johnson and improve in some other areas, because we were very strong in terms of goal scoring last season. I was hoping with this money we could improve our defensive side of things. So Andre Lucas Good-Johnson, these days a Barcelona striker. We signed him going into that first season in the Premier League for only £2 million. So to get 43 million rising up to 45 is a great bit of business. As you can see, really good for us last season. But a couple of players based on attributes should have been above him on the pecking order here at Plymouth Argyle for that advanced forward role. So we decided to sell Good-Johnson for a bit over his market value. So I do think that's quite a good bit of business, even though that might be one of the more debatable ones here for this transfer window. Let me know if you think we should have kept him off the back of scoring 12 goals in the Prem last season. Also did score some big goals in the FA Cup, including that hat-trick in our win over Manchester United, who of course we take on first up in the Premier League today. So that was a significant amount of money that did come in. And off the back of that, one more sale that we did make, young Lewis Brown went out on loan to Blackpool. He's a player who probably, because of potential, won't be hanging around too much longer after that loan anyway. But we also got rid of Tony Springer because we made that signing of Samardzic. It did mean we were quite deep in terms of our wing options, and Tony Springer, in terms of his potential and current ability when he was at the club, it was only 2.5 stars current and 3 stars potential. So it did feel like he was the player that we should look to let go of, and he has gone off to Saudi Arabia after we tried to get him off to a number of English clubs before then. He has gone to Saudi Arabia. We only make a slight profit on that deal. Signed him for $6 million going into that first season in the Prem. He leaves for $7 million, but still not bad making a profit on a player like that. So Tony Springer is no longer at the club, and that was a little bit more money that did top up that transfer budget. And off the back of that, I went a little bit crazy. Also sold Freddie Osaka, in fact, on the same day as that first huge deal that we did make, but he went to Derby County for 1.2 million, rising to 1.5 million, a homegrown talent here when we did join the club. So that is a little bit of profit that we do make, obviously, with him having come through the academy here. Decent on loan out at Wigan last season, but he's now in the Championship with Derby. Be interested to see how he gets on, but he did only have 3 stars white potential. I think only 2.5 of those were gold, so he was unlikely to feature in the first team too much, with him these days being 20 years old. So Osaka went for 1 million, which gave us a tiny boost to that transfer budget, which then a lot came out of as we signed an improvement in the deep-lying playmaker position from Bournemouth. These guys back in the Premier League this season, which will be interesting under Lionel Scaloni, because they did almost survive off the back of a terrible start to the season a couple of years ago when we came up for the first time, but we signed Alex Scott for a fee. If we go back and just double check on that one, it was for 96 million overall. We definitely didn't pay all of that up front, but he is very, very promising potential-wise, albeit only 3 stars current, but is very, very good in terms of that deep-lying playmaker. Makes his way straight into the first team, and Tom Bischoff will drop down to the bench. It does mean that someone like John Buckley we could potentially afford to let go of, and we do have some quite young, promising midfielders in the ball-winning midfielder role, so we don't have to worry about topping that one up too much, but just felt like maybe an extra deep-lying playmaker might be good, and he will hopefully help us out massively in the Champions League. Also, one of the reasons that we potentially paid just a little bit over for him was the fact, of course, he is homegrown nation. That will help us out in terms of Champions League registration, especially as we don't have that many homegrown club players who are over the age of 21, just Mike Cooper as well as Adam Randall. That's one of the reasons we can't really afford to sell Adam Randall out on that other side, but a big transfer there. He joins us from Bournemouth for 96 million, but as I said, it was only around about 60 up front, so it did mean still had a bit left over in the transfer budget off the back of that sale of Andre Lucas Good-Johnson. But as you can see, he's a bit untested in the Premier League. Was okay for Bournemouth in the first couple of seasons before that one in the Championship last season, but hopefully he can do a decent job for us in the Premier this season as well as the Champions League. And off the back of that, just checking what happened next, and it was the sale of a centre-back in Lewis Gibson. That was only a few days later. Unfortunately, he's been around since the start, had quite good potential when we got here, but these days it wasn't that good. Had players like Sebastian Hausner as well as Jacob Graves above him, who were only in the reserve, so it did make sense to get rid of Lewis Gibson, and we sold him for 2.2 million. This one a little bit hard to judge because it's an undisclosed fee when Plymouth did sign him going into the first season of this save, but I think that's a pretty fair price, seeing as he only played 4 games for us last season, and he is over in the Bundesliga these days. So Lewis Gibson no longer at the club. That's a reason that getting someone like Alex Scott was also quite good, because Lewis Gibson was homegrown nation, not homegrown club though, so I did feel like we could let go of someone like him, and we replaced them with Ousmane Diamonde. This is a player I would have actually liked to sign last season over someone like Lorenzo Parola, but unfortunately wasn't that interested in joining us then. And also Sporting were quite keen on getting the £69 million release clause for this window. They brought that down a little bit because he was unhappy at still being there, with some interest shown by Real Madrid, but thankfully they never put a bid in. We did, so we got the very promising 22-year-old Ivorian, and as you can see, he looks like a stellar centre-back with a bit of room to grow as well, and we signed him for a fee. It was of 52 million, 57 overall, and we only paid about 26 million of that up front, but he is a stellar centre-back. He's done a good job for Sporting over the last couple of seasons in Portugal. He should be a first-team regular and does like playing on the opposite side to Lorenzo Parola, so that should be a very strong centre-back partnership for us in our big games this season. And I'm looking forward to seeing how those guys go, and hopefully they can strengthen up that defence a little bit, seeing as it was quite leaky here at Plymouth Argyle last season. So Ousmane Diamonde makes his way straight into the first team, just like the other big money signing and Alex Scott. To round things off, one more sale, albeit not a massive one. Yusuf Akamrich, who we signed on a free after he left Tottenham a couple of seasons ago. He's gone to Blackburn for a fee of £150,000. Unfortunately, that didn't help out that wage budget too much off the back of that signing of Diamonde. So that's all the transfer business that we have done. That's how we've got ourselves into a bit of a pickle of being £45,000 over now. We were almost going to sell Morgan Whittaker as well for a fee of around about 30 million to Sheffield United. I know that might not be popular alongside that sale of Good-Johnson, but we did cancel that deal off the back of picking up an injury in our last pre-season friendly. We've actually got a couple of injuries going in to the start of the season, and they are to 2 wingers. The first one is nearly back from Osama Salawi, one of our best players at the club here last season. Actually picked up the player of the season. He picked up a torn ab in training quite early in pre-season. He's going to be coming back in 12 days to 4 weeks, so it does mean he is missing for probably this first month of the Premier League season, but thankfully should be back once we do get stuck in to the Champions League. But the one above it is the reason that Morgan Whittaker is still here, because Mohamed Baloumi in that last pre-season friendly, a 2-0 win over Guingamp. Thankfully, we did win all our pre-season friendlies, but he broke his lower leg and is out for 3 to 5 months. So that was definitely a game changer. It does mean that wage budget might be a problem for a little while here at Plymouth Argyle. Hopefully we might get a top-up going into the second half of the season, like has been the case in terms of our transfer budget in every season so far that we've played here in the Waine Train save. But that does mean Mohamed Baloumi will not be available pretty much until we do get past potentially the January transfer window, which is why it actually worked out quite well that we did sign Samardzic on that free transfer, and it does mean that Morgan Whittaker can definitely be a useful player for us now as a backup right wing option. Also coming back in from last season, Nesri Irinkunda as well. That's quite useful with that current injury. to Osama Sarawi. So that's what's happened in terms of the transfer window, as well as some pre-season injuries. But in terms of the season preview for us here at Plymouth Argyle, the last couple of seasons, we've been expected to finish right down near the bottom of the Premier League table this time. Don't need to move my head for us to see this, because we are predicted to finish up in 13th place. There you can see Champions League football and what they expect to be our first choice 11 going in to this upcoming season. Tobias in goal. They've got Dest at right back, which would usually be the case, apart from the fact he's still suspended from that red card he picked up against Chelsea late last season. The centre-back pairing is bang on, but out left, I still have Miguel Gutierrez over Christensen based on attributes. The midfield is bang on Simon Som as the ball-wing midfielder, and Alex Scott, of course, comes in as the deep-lying playmaker. Left winger is Farias, that's just for the moment. Usually it would be Sarawi, and outright it is our new signing in Samardzic, not Aaron Kunda, albeit he will be on the bench for this first game today. And up front it is Nikola Iliev, but he's playing as the advanced forward on the left-hand side, while of course the Waine Train is out on the right-hand side. Thankfully, he has got through pre-season safely, so hopefully he can play a lot more football here than he did last season, but that is a much better position on the season preview than we've had here at Plymouth Argyle over the last couple of seasons, with those big additions of the likes of Diamonde and Alex Scott. I'm hopeful we can go a little bit closer to potentially winning the title this season. Might just be that we build up to try and do that next season, which will probably be the last one of this save, but we're definitely stronger than we were last season. Hopefully we can continue to show improvement, albeit the fact that we are in the Champions League might dictate to that just a little bit. But first up, we are taking on Manchester United, who are only predicted to finish in 6th. So that is an interesting first up game. Erik ten Hag still in charge. They finished one position above us in the Premier League last season, up in 4th. But the last 2 times that we have played these guys, we have bet them at Old Trafford in the second half of last season in the Prem, before we wiped the floor with them 5-1 in the FA Cup semi-final. Hopefully we can do something similar, albeit that is a very stable Manchester United team, as I saw in the preview that we did get before this match. They have some very good green links in all areas of the field. Certainly a team that has been together a lot longer than we have here at Plymouth Argyle. The other thing worth mentioning from this season preview, Tottenham do not have a manager. They have lost Roberto De Zerbi. He has left to go and take, if we go and look at the manager history, he has gone to take the England job. So Tottenham, an interesting team going in to the start of the season. They were doing quite well under De Zerbi once he left Brighton for them. Will be interesting to see how they get on now that he has left, especially because second up this season, we play them in our first game back at Home Park. That's the other thing worth mentioning before we get into this first game of today's episode. The renovations of Home Park have been completed. It's been built up now to 28,000 people. So thankfully this season we are back at Home Park, and also we've changed the captaincy these days. Casper Tobias is captain and Miguel Gutierrez is the vice, just because they've got the best teamwork and leadership qualities here at the club. So I think that's all we need to cover off before we do get into the start of the 4th season of this save, as well as the fact just one minor change to our tactic, because both Diamonde and Parola are so good at being a ball-playing defender. They will both be playing as that. It'll be interesting to see how they do get on. I do think having both those central defenders in the same role does mean that they do connect a little bit better in terms of the defensive line. I have noticed in the past couple of seasons, when we do play a ball-playing defender alongside a central defender, one can rush out a little bit more than the other. So hopefully, if they're both playing as a BPD, they will stay quite tight together and won't just rush out compared to the other. But we'll see how that goes in this first game of the season. Also worth noting, Mosquera, he'll be staying at right back. We'll come back shortly and get stuck into the action from our first game of the season. Hopefully make it 3 wins in a row over Manchester United. And here are the team sheets for this first game of the season at Old Trafford. Most importantly, Manchester United. As you can see, they look quite similar to the team that we did take on late last season, the team that we beat twice in a row. There we are, as we ran through before, just a couple of changes to our usual first choice 11. Mosquera at right back and also Farias at left wing because of injury and suspension, and also on the bench, who wouldn't usually be there, it is Irinkunda as well as Morgan Whittaker. But hopefully we can get off to a decent start here to the season, albeit tough task at Old Trafford. And just past the 10-minute mark, the first highlight in this game is a corner to Manchester United. Will be interesting to see how we defend these, because we have changed our set-piece defence and attack off the back of last season. The new set-piece coach, who was already here at the club, so he sacked off the old one. Maybe that wasn't a good idea, because Garnacho there curves that one into that bottom left corner, and we go 1-0 down early. It's Anthony there who finds Garnacho on the edge of the box. Unfortunately, Samardzic doesn't quite close him down. It's a good finish, but we go 1-0 down early. And it's taken a little while for the next highlight in this game, just off the back of adjusting some opposition instructions off the back of conceding that opening goal. But Ferran Torres here is on the ball for Man United. They've been on the attack so far in this game. Good chance there for Ferran Torres, but thankfully Tobias there comes up with a good save. We'll demand more off the back of that, but unfortunately still get shown this corner, which Bruno Fernandes will take. Thankfully, Diamonde heads that away, and a diving header from Alex Scott. The first thing that we see from him in that deep line playmaker role. Certainly not what you expect to see from someone like Alex Scott, but now a chance for us to see how these dual ball playing defenders get on. Parola plays that one out to Farias, and now it's up to Iliev. Hopefully can do a good job this season. Him no Bando with no good Johnson. No doubt that's the big transfer in terms of the outs. And we are on the attack, though. The Waine Train gets his first touch of the ball this season. It somehow falls there to Samardzic. It falls to Simon Som. And Andre Onana gets a big touch on that one, but doesn't keep it out. FM have got that pretty realistic. And we make it 1-1, just shy of the half-hour mark. Some good work there on the counter-attack. Kieran Tierney does go after our new right winger. Then Lisandro Martinez takes the ball off the Waine Train, but thankfully our winger does recover. He plays that one in to Simon Som. It's a bit of Som to start off our season here at Plymouth Argyle, and he makes it 1-1 just at the half-hour mark. And not too long off the back of that equaliser, it's a chance for us here to potentially make it 2-1 from a goal kick, albeit we take it short, just putting ourselves here under a bit of pressure, but that's actually a really nice ball that from Diamonde out to Samardzic. Already does have an assist. Worth noting, Mosquera has picked up a injury that hopefully we'll be able to wait till half-time to bring on Ethan Leb for him and just see if he does need to come off. But unfortunately, they cut that ball out from Samardzic there to Manchester United and get a chance here on the counter-attack. Now, Casemiro was on the ball. Samardzic does quite well to break up the play so far, having a good debut. But United do keep the ball kind of like we did down the other end when we scored that goal. Now, Bruno Fernandes with a chance. Tries to put that one top right corner, but thankfully, good save there from Tobias, who so far is having a good game in his first one as captain of Plymouth Argyle. But Anthony with the corner, of course, they scored from one of these before, but thankfully Diamonde deals with that danger at the near post, and just shy of half-time, it's still 1-1, albeit now it's a free kick here for Manchester United, and Bruno Fernandes will step up to take this one from about middle, nearly puts that one top left corner. Tobias was left motionless, but thankfully it does just go over the bar, and it looks like it'll be locked up here at 1-1 going into half-time, albeit might be forced into a change. Unfortunately, Samardzic has picked up a yellow card, but did play quite well. Did set up that equaliser, Simon Son, off the back of that opening goal, which was scored by Garnacho. But one change at halftime, as you'd expect. We are taking off Mosquera for Ethan Led. I think that's all we're going to do for now. We will, though, get Samardzic to ease off tackles. Hopefully the Waine Train can improve on that 6.4 in the second half. But so far, not doing too badly, especially because the stats are well and truly in favour of Man United. We'll get the second half underway, locked up at 1-1. And just checking on player fitness at the hour mark, not much is happening so far in the second half, which is not good for us because so far United have well and truly been on the front foot. But Simon Son playing well, has the goal and a green rating, but is down to a red heart. Adam Randall can come on for him, and also the Waine Train on a 6.3. Pizarro will make a couple of changes. Nestri Irankunda back here at Plymouth Argyle. He can come on for Facundo Farias, just getting rid of those players up front on a poor rating. With a half hour left, it's still 1-1. And only a couple of minutes off the back of those substitutions, it is now Manchester United who yet again are in position, but this time looking to play out from the back. Lisandro Martinez, who of course made a big error to start off that FA Cup semi last week when the Waine Train scored, but good work there from Osama Diamonde to get that ball for us. And then Iliev puts through Damian Pizarro fresh off the bench for the Waine Train. He puts that one away nicely past Andre Onana. I don't think he was offside. Didn't see the assistant referee put his flag up, and thankfully the goal will stand. So despite the fact we've been well on the back foot in this game, we go 2-1 up. Diamonde with a good interception there from a ball from Anthony Gordon on loan from Newcastle United. So again, Man United going with the Newcastle loanee, but this time he makes a mistake, and Diamonde, good work there from our new star centre-back Iliev with a good assist, and Pizarro puts us 2-1 up with only 24 minutes left. And only a few minutes off the back of that goal to put us in front 2-1. Now it's Alex Scott who's gone down to a red heart. Solid debut with a 6.5. But with our last sub, Tom Bischoff will come on for him. And another highlight here shortly off the back of that final sub, this time though a corner in our favour. Aaron Kunda will take this. We are going with in-swinging corners this season, and he picks out the new signing in Ousmane Diomande. That makes it 3-1. Really good to see him having such a good impact in this opening game. Big hand in that second goal with that interception from the Gordon pass, and there lots of chaos at the near post. Nestory picks up an assist at Old Trafford, and that makes it 3-1 with only around 15 minutes left. And we are still somehow 3-1 up in this game with only 3 shots on target. All of them have beaten Andre Onana, but we are going to start the time waste here, and hopefully that will make sure that Manchester United can't do too much more here, and we can hold on and pick up 3 massive points on the opening day of the season. And yet again, off the back of a quick change, there is a highlight starting, very FM24, but it's a throw in here inside of the final third. Varane, though, clears that one nicely, albeit Parola will get that one back for us. So far, those dual ball-playing defenders working well. There's some nice work, though, from Aaron Kunda. Oh, my word, that would have been some goal if he put that one away, but a good save that time from Andre Onana, but that was nearly a bit of brilliance from the former Adelaide United man to go alongside his assist. Unfortunately, that time we can't quite pick out Diomande at that near post, albeit Samardzic goes looking for a goal alongside his assist, but unfortunately that one goes just over the bar, but still 3-1 in our favour heading in to the last couple of minutes of this game. We'll stick with this and see if we get to injury time still with a 3-1 advantage. Thankfully we do only 6 minutes of added time. Maybe should have started to time waste frequently before this highlight did start, as Man United might get a chance here to make it 3-2 and make things interesting. But now Aaron Kunda having a blinder, intercepts that ball, albeit loose touch there. I think that was from Pizarro, and it's now a chance for United to do something here somewhat on the counter-attack. Fernandes is on the ball, plays it back to Wan-Bissaka. Now Ferran Torres with a great chance. It is saved though by Tobias, who must be having some game here with the amount of shots on target that United have been getting to keep them to only scoring 1 goal. He will get us now to start time wasting frequently off the back of that. Surely there, the man who took the corner and Fernandes was offside. Indeed he was, and now only 2 more minutes to get through before we pick up a massive 3 points on the opening day of the season at Old Trafford, and that's exactly what we do. Thankfully, most of our new signings have made an immediate impact. Samardzic and Diomande in particular. Alex Scott was okay, but no doubt will grant that role as that deep-lying playmaker. That is a very impressive win on the opening day of the season, at least in terms of the scoreline. Not too sure about the overall performance, because as you can see, Manchester United well and truly on top of us. Kasper Tobias with an 8.2 must have kept us in that game quite a bit through things that we didn't see through the match engine, but here top game and goal, and most of our new signings also performed quite nicely, and that is a very nice way to start off the season. It's our 3rd win in a row over Manchester United, and it's by a scoreline of 3-1 at Old Trafford. So a very nice result for us there, first up in the Premier League this season, off back of spending quite a bit of money in the transfer window. Just thought I'd pop back here because they're about to ask us about Kasper Tobias, who was very good, but interesting to see there an answer that we could say, I wouldn't swap him for anyone, not even Andre Onana. We had 4 shots on target, I believe, in that past game. We scored 3 of them, so I'm not too sure if that's actually quite as complimentary as FM thinks it is, but nonetheless, we'll say that because it's funny, isn't it? But that is a great start to the season, a 3-1 win over Man United. We'll just go forward a little bit off the back of this and see what the other results are if we can keep ourselves near the top end of the table after the first match day. And going forward a couple of days off the back of that 3-1 win on the opening day over Manchester United, really good result, especially considering that they were well on top of us throughout that game. Kasper Tobias, as you saw before in the post-match, had a very, very good day at the office. Our new captain, unfortunately, off the back of that, we have dropped down to 5th. Very interesting to see that Tottenham have beat the defending champions Liverpool, even though they no longer have a manager, Tottenham. So that is very interesting. They might be a bit tougher than I thought they might be without De Zerbi in our next game, our first one back at Home Park, which we'll cover off before we come back for tomorrow's episode. But unfortunately, a couple more games did get played, and because of Aston Villa picking up a 3-0 win over West Brom back in the Premier League, no doubt a team who will be struggling to stay up, and also Arsenal beating West Ham 2-0. We are in 5th off the back of the first match day of the season, but considering we took on Manchester United at Old Trafford, I will definitely take that result, and hopefully we can pick up some decent points in what on paper does look like a tricky first month, as we do now take on Spurs and then a Merseyside double against Everton and Liverpool, which we might come back for in tomorrow's episode, and also see if we can fix that wage budget situation, and we should hopefully also get our Champions League fixtures in that episode as well. But that will do it for the first one of Season 4. Let me know what you think of those transfers down in the comments. No doubt some of them will be a bit controversial, obviously as well, not helped by that broken League 2 Balumi, which means Morgan Whittaker is still here, albeit that might not be a bad thing, but it does mean our wage budget, as I said, not in a good place. But if you enjoyed today's episode, then do consider going down below, leaving a thumbs up on the video to help push it out, and also if you haven't done so already, consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well until tomorrow for that double header, that Merseyside double against Everton and Liverpool before transfer deadline day. And also, as I said, should get those Champions League fixtures, which we can start to focus on after that episode. Until tomorrow for that, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.